Hey, this is Travis the TAO Templar. What will happen to miners if the price of TAO goes down? Could it break the network if TAO goes down too low? This is a good question. If miners are compensated less TAO, it stands to reason that it could seriously affect the network, potentially even destroy Bittensor. In 2021, I listened to an expert who had done the math and said that if Bitcoin goes below 8,000 in the bear market, then it'll go all the way down to zero. He said this is because Bitcoin miners will not get paid enough Bitcoin to cover the cost of their mining operation. Therefore, Bitcoin will fall to zero as no one will mine it. Let's take a look at a simple example. If a miner's costs are $10,000 a month and they bring in 1 Bitcoin of revenue, when Bitcoin is $60,000, they'll have a net profit of $50,000. When Bitcoin is at $10,000, they'll break even. But when Bitcoin is at $8,000, their costs are larger than their revenue. So it no longer makes sense to run the miner. If you know a little about how Bitcoin mining works, you'll know that Bitcoin has a mechanism that adjusts the difficulty of mining over time. So if the Bitcoin price drops and some miners drop out, the difficulty will go down slowly. But what about the case where Bitcoin plummets very fast, from 60,000 to 8,000 in a matter of minutes? The difficulty adjustment mechanism won't have time to kick in. Is this a critical flaw in Bitcoin? I wonder if you can spot the flaw in reasoning here. People in general suck at thinking about economics. This doomsday idea had me worried until I thought it through properly. The expert assumed a few things. He assumed that all miners didn't take out an option contract to sell their Bitcoin at a fixed price in the future. Options are a common risk mitigating strategy for businesses to implement if they're in a volatile market like crypto. He also assumed that Bitcoin maxis won't mine at a loss to prop up their investment until the hash rate difficulty is algorithmically reduced. But most importantly, the expert assumed the price of energy and the cost of operations for all miners across the world is the same. For miner A, they might lose money and have to stop mining. But for miner B, it might still be profitable depending on costs and expected revenue. Maybe miner C has a setup that allows them to scale down their operations according to the Bitcoin price to remain profitable. You can see miner B in this scenario has a fixed cost of $5,000 per month. For miner C, it might not even be a fixed cost. In this particular example, miner B will keep mining because they still have a net profit. So you can see that Bitcoin will be mined by the miners that can still profit from it. And the number of miners that can survive will get smaller as the price goes down, filtering out all but the most efficient miners. Now, everything we've covered here is the same for TAO, except that miners aren't generating hashes, but valuable digital commodities. So a miner that is doing AI inference, for example, will likely have very high costs. As the price of TAO goes down, they will have many options. They could downgrade their machine. They could look for optimizations in the miner code base. They could change cloud providers. And they could close up shop, eagerly replaced by more efficient miners. The most efficient and resourceful miners will survive. But in reality, Bittensor output will be affected, but not nearly as much as you might think. If the price drops 90% in the next bear market, Bittensor output quality won't drop 90%. Remember, the most efficient and resourceful miners will survive. The least productive, least efficient will drop out because they cannot stay profitable. One could even make the argument that a price drop is a good thing to clean out the miners that aren't efficient and versatile. Even some economists will make this mistake where they don't account for the variability in human actions and choices, and also variability in prices across the globe. The lesson here is when some expert gives you a convincing case for why something will happen, you have to think about why they might be wrong. Obviously, this is a life lesson that isn't just applicable to your favorite cryptocurrency. You should apply it to the media, politics, etc. You should also remain skeptical of whatever your favorite Templar tells you as well. Please consider liking, following, and subscribing. I post these videos to both X and YouTube. I also have a Patreon if you want to support me.